Hey, it's Jennifer Adelman.
And Alaina Meyer.
And here we are with the Infant Toddler Toolbox.
Episode 15, Respecting the Bodily Autonomy of Young Children.
Ooh, it sounds so deep.
It does. We started, when we were planning this episode, we were like, we're going to talk about consent. And everyone looked at us like horrified. They're like, how are you going to talk about that? And I was like,
well,
we should call it something different.
The same way we talk about it in the classroom, because you're never really too young to lay the seeds of that.
And I think what we had meant, I think you and I were on the same page,
right.
And it was just our explaining to people was, how do you build the foundation for consent, for self-respect, and
right.
For a feeling of your own bodily
and it's just
autonomy.
The definition is just like, your body is your body, and you make the rules of it.
Yes. We sourced a really great article from 0 to 3 that will provide about high five or hug, teaching toddlers about consent. And so we use a lot of these practices in our classroom and in our parenting. And it, I feel like, has helped my child feel like she has a say over certain things that involve her body, and that she's not required to perform for other people. I think is what I want to say.
Well, I think that's actually a really great way to frame it.
You know, performative physical, affection, apparent, I guess is what I want to say. Not that she doesn't love performing, because she do. So what we're going to be talking about is laying this foundation and from infancy through toddlerhood. And these are all strategies that you can start using with your infant all the way through 3. I mean,
and up.
And up. You may have to adjust strategies as your children get older.
Right.
My daughter's 6 now, so I basically don't know anything what to do about anything anymore.
I know nothing about anything
just
anymore.
Free flying now, and we just deal with it as it comes.
Okay, once you're 8, that's it. You're out of early childhood.
Yeah, and I
Sorry,
can't help you.
Someone else is going to have to take over. Untrue, because you know what? You grow with your kid.
Yeah, you really do. And the things that were hard a year ago aren't hard now, and the things that are going to be hard in a year,
right?
You don't even know them.
And like when I think about it, that's also because we do continuity of care in our program, and getting a group of 8 squishy babes and staying with them all the way through, different milestones, talking, walking, all the way up to that toileting independence. We get to see a huge chunk of their journey, and we're really lucky. So when we're laying those foundations, we're really like seeing the fruits of our labor.
Absolutely. And you can start easily enough. It doesn't take a whole lot of changing your perspective, I think. Starts with talking to your child about what they'll be doing to their bodies, even as a very young infant, as a newborn. I'm going to get your body ready for a diaper change. I'm going to lay you down and take off your pants and your old diaper. And some
that
people,
diaper is really wet. It's probably uncomfortable for you.
Some people are like, why are you talking to your newborn baby? They don't understand you. Well, the whole ability that humans understand language and learn language by being exposed to language. So the more you talk to your child, the more you're exposing them to language, the quicker they're going to pick up those receptive words and phrases that you use regularly, and then they're going to start associating it with the task that you are performing. So when you talk through the diaper change, soon they're going to be understanding that, I'm going to take you for a diaper change, and it's very... You'll see that suddenly your 8-month-old scurries away when you say that you're going to have a diaper change.
And then they're like off.
They're like, I don't want that.
Butt scooting or crawling or whatever. However they choose to motor.
Yeah. So, it happens quicker than we think.
And for the same token of that, when you're going through the steps and you're vocalizing them, then your child knows, okay, after this wet diaper is off and I get that cold wipe coming on my bum that my mom or teacher has held in their hand to try and warm for me.
Right.
Because we don't have warmers here.
Someone gave me one of those and I was like, what is this?
What is this? What kind of witchcraft is this? But then, they know the clean diaper's coming and we're washing hands and we're getting up and going.
Right. Also, something you can do with your infants is labeling their body parts as you wash them in the bath. And we recommend using all the correct
real words,
scientific names. I'm just going to go for it. Penis, vulva, vagina, nipples. Some people say anus. I still say butt, but that's me because it sounds very
butt, buns, bum.
Anyways, using those words, and it helps, and obviously all the other body parts too.
Right.
So in the
your
bath,
armpits,
I'm going to wash your arm, I'm going to wash your armpits and your belly, and then
lift your head. We're going to get right there under your chin.
Definitely get your neck, all your
all
neck
those
rolls.
Squishy rolls.
So making sure that you're labeling as we go, and using the terms for things, and the part of the reason that we recommend using the terms is to get children comfortable with those parts of their bodies, and also to use words that are universal that people know, so that in the event, God forbid,
true story though,
that there was any abuse or any inappropriate activity that could have happened, that your child would be able to say,
saying someone touched my nee means what?
Yeah, no one knows what that is. So that helps in that aspect as well, unfortunately. Another thing with infants and very young babies is refraining from moving their bodies in ways that they're not ready to move yet. So putting a child that can't support themselves and their head in one of those like little seats, like the bumbo seats, before they're ready for that seat is harmful to their physical development.
Yes, it is.
So you really want to make sure that when you have a device like that you're using, or a contraption, I suppose. I don't really know what to call them that isn't like judgy.
It's hard for us
because I can see why people like them, and I see
and there's a time and a space for them.
Yeah, there's a time and a space.
Baby swings and rockers and things like that.
As parents and as educators, you just have to be very aware of the age. And, they all come with a little
age, development, and the time spent in them. You have to be really cognizant
and so they
of
all
those
come
things.
with a little, booklet that explains the thing to you and the age that they should do. And these are the signs of readiness for this certain material or toy. Pay a close attention to that. And we don't recommend leaving a child in a device like that for longer than 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah. Long enough to cook dinner or take a shower.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I think about it.
And if they, and then have some time to stretch out, move their bodies the way they're meant to move. You just want to be really careful when you're using them that the child is where they need to be physically.
Well supervised.
And supervised when you're using them because, we had a bumbo that we used for food, and she didn't use it until she was already sitting, but she was she was a very early sitter, so I don't want to say when she was sitting.
And that's fine.
Freakishly early.
And some children have really strong cores.
She did. She mostly just didn't want to miss out on anything. Yeah.
She was the little in a class of bigs.
Yeah. She was like, they're doing something, and I need to see it.
So I need to see this. But it, while we digress a little, when as co-teachers, we often talk to teachers' aides who might be new to our program about putting children in positions that they can't get into and out of themselves, and express how important it is for a child to know their body. And if they can't get into it safely on their own, then they can't get out of it safely on their own. And that presents a physical danger in a different way.
Well, and it's also, I think, too, just basic respect for someone's
body. It disrespects
I don't come to you
process.
And move your arms around in a certain way.
Could you imagine if we treated
Jen,
adults
just hold
like that?
your pencil like this, Jen. That's just not, and there is a time and a place for hand over hand per se, when a skill is developing, and always ask, can I help?
Can I help
show
you
how to use those scissors? Scissors are the thing that. Scissors are so hard.
They're so hard.
So hard to help someone hold a scissor correctly when they're ready to do it.
I still haven't figured it out.
I mean, come on. Well, now I have to push the child and put the child in front of me in facing the same direction as me, so I can look at their hand when I'm helping them.
And I'm always like, all right, so if I put my body behind you and then reach my arm around, okay, so we're going to put our hands in the scissors together. Now watch, open and shut, open and shut. And now, okay, fine. If it's easier, you hold one side in each hand and I'll hold the paper for you.
Well, there's a time, I was going to say, there's a time when the scissor hold becomes, you are ready for it.
Right.
I'm not doing this with a 1-year-old.
No, because that.
And usually I ask first. I'm like, do you want me to help you get your fingers in
but,
there?
But there it is. You're asking for permission.
And having
You're
that choice.
giving the child the opportunity to make a choice whether or not they're touched.
Yes. And whether or not someone moves their body,
no matter that your intentions are good.
Yes.
If they are the child that really wants to do it on their own and figure it out for themselves, well, guess what? You got to back off.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. We also recommend modeling that no means no by stopping tickling, hugging, kissing, or touching when your child tells you to stop. We do that. I've always done that at our house. It's the minute you say stop, you stop. And then we have flipped that kind of for her when she's doing stuff to us now that she's older. Like, when you ask us to stop tickling you, we stop. Yeah. I'm asking you to stop touching me with your very cold, icy toes.
Oh, gosh.
Please stop. And she's like, okay, I guess you're right.
And, like, when we do tickle games, now it's like, this is the stop word and this is the go word.
Right. And I've, like, we talk even in our infant room, when they're kind of, exploring, wanting to say hi to each other. There's a lot of like hand, someone's out of nowhere grabbing your arm or like your cheek, and if a child who was touched starts to cry, like, they didn't want you to touch them.
Sounds like that took them by surprise.
I'm going to help you find something you can touch.
Right, like here's this baby doll that you can poke its eyes.
Yes, we just did that. We just brought big baby dolls in our room.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to take care of the little baby that we have, and so.
It's natural.
Gave them their own babies to take care of.
When we had like a 15-month-old and a 5-month-old in one of our groups, the 15-month-old really wanted to put the sweet baby socks on. And so we had to get socks and baby dolls and say, look, this is where you can practice.
This is your baby station.
This is your baby station. And lo and behold, that child really figured out how to put a baby sock on. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
For sure. When you have the drive.
That's right.
When you're motivated.
When you are highly motivated. The skills develop.
Yeah, you can also say too when you're starting these games with your children is you can tell me no or stop when you want to stop tickling. And it's really important to give words that they can use. Or always, I'm gonna tickle you. Is that okay? Right. Are you ready for a tickle game? Do you want a tickle game?
Yes.
When they're ready, sometimes with a baby they won't answer you.
Well, and I think this brings up a good point for parents who are expecting a new sibling or just had the arrival of a new sibling. That baby is its own person already. They don't belong to your older child. And so really advocating for that smallest human.
Right, and modeling.
And
doing the steps that we previously talked about, talking about what's happening, touching respectfully, not moving their body around. And not to say that, like, your child's jerking your baby around because you're jerking your baby around.
No.
That's not at all.
Because they may be 3 or 4 or 2, that intention of, I want to squish you or like, touch you.
Even
or
I see mommy pat the baby, so I'm going to pat
the baby. It, but
they have no
motor
sense
control,
of
right.
the strength of the pat.
Right.
And what comes out of nowhere, it's a little alarming.
Yeah.
So just, making sure that you're modeling that for both of your kids. And then when that child gets a little bit older, and they're interacting more, then you have even more opportunities to help the younger child with
advocate for themselves.
Yes, and touching the older child appropriately, because I know that as an older sibling, somebody was hanging on me for a lot.
I was going to say, I still have some scars on my hands, but that's okay. Who's counting?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I delivered it. I mean, I know I delivered it in return.
So it can feel really tricky when we're talking about respecting bodies and children's autonomy and foundation building consent for later in life, or current life. It can feel really hard because, like, obviously your toddler can't be in control of their whole life at this point.
Right.
And there are things that you have to do as a parent and as a caregiver.
You have to clean boogies.
You have to wipe noses. You have to clean poop.
Do diapers,
bottoms.
right.
Yeah, like you have to. You have to take a bath. So we always acknowledge, I know you really don't want a diaper change right now.
You were busy playing.
You wanted to play, and I had told you to stop.
Right.
I'm going to clean your body, and as soon as I'm done, we'll
go
go back
right
to whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
When kids are older, and giving a choice, do you want to have a diaper changer now or in 5 minutes? Usually ends up being a smoother process, especially with your toddler.
It's time for your diaper change. Do you want to open the diaper while I clean you?
Right.
Or do you want to...
Giving as much choice as possible during those things. And we also explain as we're doing them, I know this isn't what you wanted. I have to do this to help keep your body clean. It's important for your body to stay healthy by having it be clean, and this is how we do it, and we're helping you take care of yourself.
And as soon as you're ready to wear those underpants.
Well, right. But even like when my daughter was not potty trained, she would get really bad diaper rashes from berries, and she wouldn't want us to wipe her. So we would give her a wipe, and we would let her wipe herself first.
Right.
And then say, okay, you do it first, and then we would just kind of go and pat. You know, do a maintenance check.
That's right.
And that kind of carried over into her when she was learning the potty. Was, you know, she wanted to wipe herself. And it's like, okay, you wipe, and then obviously. We called it the maintenance wipe.
Yeah.
Just do a second follow-up there, just to make sure everything was good.
Check on everything.
Everything was cleaned up.
But she felt super empowered. Yeah,
and I think when I first was letting her wipe herself during diaper changes, I think we had family that were like, what? And I'm like, well, I just feel
it is her body.
It was her body, and it just made sense for us at the time that would be a way to get through these hard changes when she had like this raging blister diaper rash that was terrible.
Right.
So allowing them to help as much with the process as you feel comfortable, as much as they feel comfortable. Washing their bodies in the bath is another. You can do that pretty quick, or fairly young ages.
Yeah.
Having a loofah or a washcloth that they can help use.
Right. This one's yours. This one's mine.
Yeah, and then you wipe and we wipe and all these things.
Everybody's wiping.
Yep, everyone's cleaning. And so giving that choice again too. Do you want to wash your knees first or your feet first, or you wash your private part and I'm going to wash your back.
Right.
Or whatever. To, you know, do that in a way that
quick
gets it done. So this is also hard, especially coming off these holidays, or if you have family that you don't see very often. In those interactions between your child and family that want to love them so much, and your child's just like, I don't want to hug you.
Right.
And it's hard. We were talking with some colleagues yesterday too, because so much of our culture expects children to be respectful of adults.
Yeah.
Which is not a problem. I'm not complaining about that, but I think the way that we expect children to show respect...
Compliance.
Yes, to show respect to adults
respect
is compliance.
Equals compliance.
And I would argue that just because my child doesn't want to hug Auntie so-and-so that they've never met before doesn't mean that she doesn't respect her. She doesn't know her. I often will say, like, hey, she needs a couple minutes to warm up.
She's pretty slow to warm, but once she gets to know
she needs a little while to feel comfortable before she's going to be ready to give hugs.
Right.
So we would say, like, do you want to give a high five? Do you want to give a hug? Do you want to say goodbye? A choice of doing something. Do you want to
and like my child
blow a kiss?
Early on knew people's buttons. Like, he's a real good social reader, and like he got it. He loves my dad so much, and my dad always asks, like, will you give me a hug? Can I have a high five? Whatever. And he's always just like, no.
I know.
Because he knows. But it was like that when he was 2 years old.
Right.
And it wasn't because he didn't love my dad. He loves my dad.
Right.
He is actually kind of a small version of my dad.
He really is. That's very true.
But he also knows when people really want his attention, affection, and he's like, you got to work harder.
I'm withholding this.
Right. Yeah. Also, this is my power.
Absolutely.
And you know what? He's entitled to have that power. My dad doesn't give him a hard time, and it's great.
Yeah. And I think thinking about things I've read relating to this topic and grown-ups, and something that I always frame it as to when I'm talking with, you know, my kids at school is I always try to frame it as me giving them a hug. Can I give you a hug? Can I give you a high five? Instead of it being the grown up taking it from you. Can you give me a hug? Give me a kiss? Give me whatever. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's just semantics. I think it matters. But
I give you a hug? Are you comfortable? That's what that's saying.
Well, and it also just models that same kind of physical, getting confirmation before a physical interaction, which is consent.
Right.
And why do we want to do these things? Why do we think this is important? Because we really want our kids to grow up knowing that this is their body, that they're in charge of their body, what they say goes with their body, and that their body shouldn't be used by other people for their enjoyment or entertainment or whatever. And the hope is that using these strategies will give kids that kind of big self-confidence, feelings of self-worth, that they don't need to do those things to feel loved by people.
Yeah.
You don't have to hug someone to get affection.
Right.
Or, whatever.
No, it's true.
But it just, I just think about things as like an adolescent and young adult for me personally, where, I mean, if I had been in that situation, having had a different model growing up, no offense, like, also not complaining about my family or anybody.
Right.
But just, it was a different time. You give someone a hug, period. Yeah. Like, you do this with that, period. And I think, if I'd had different modeling growing up, that some of those situations that I was in as a young adult or like late teen may have been different. If I'd felt like I'd had a say or felt like I could separate myself from that. And yeah. Anyways, not getting too personal.
No.
But I think it's important, and I think it, especially when we think about all children, but there was that study that came out recently that like girls show signs of low self-confidence as early as age 5.
Right.
Which
How
is
sad
like,
is that?
makes me feel ill.
Yeah.
But I think for all kids, modeling respect for their bodies and respecting their wishes about their bodies when possible can go a really long way in providing good feelings of self-worth.
I would agree. And, that one of the ways that us exploring this topic came about was because we actually had a parent ask during conferences about stranger danger. And I was like, oh gosh, that's like, I'm perplexed on how we would teach a child about that, other than just like, if you're out, we stay together, we hold hands, we do those things. But then as I thought more and more about it, I thought about ways we empower children, period, and supporting children's bodily autonomy here at school, and, providing them with the knowledge early on that it's their body and they have a say about it is like a foundation for that.
Absolutely. We will post the article that we used, and thanks to all of our colleagues for letting us use our space. Thanks to Galen, our producer.
Yay!
Always amazing. We'll see you next time, the Infant Toddler Toolbox.
Yeah.